itself. The same was true at the climate strike on the Pacific island nation of Vanuatu, where residents live in fear of further coastal erosion. Their Pacific neighbor, the Solomon Islands, has already lost 5 small islands to rising water, with 6 more at severe risk of disappearing forever. "Raise your voice, not the sea level," the students chanted. In New York City, 10,000 kids from dozens of schools found one another in Columbus Circle and proceeded to march to Trump Tower, chanting, "Money won't matter when we're dead." The older teens in the crowd had vivid memories of when Superstorm Sandy slammed into their coastal city in 2012. "My house got flooded and I was so confused," recalled Sandra Rogers. "And it really made me look into it because you don't learn these things in school." New York City's huge Puerto Rican community was also out in force on that unseasonably warm day. Some kids arrived draped in the island's flag, a reminder of the relatives and friends still suffering in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria, the 2017 storm that knocked out electricity and water in large parts of the territory for the better part of a year, a total infrastructure breakdown that took the lives of roughly 3,000 people. The mood was fierce, too, in San Francisco, where more than 1,000 student strikers shared stories of living with chronic asthma because of polluting industries in their neighborhoods, and then getting a whole lot sicker when wildfire smoke choked the Bay Area just a few months before the strike. The testimonies were similar at walkouts all over the Pacific Northwest, where smoke from record-breaking fires had blotted out the sun for 2 summers running. Across the northern border in Vancouver, young people had recently succeeded in pressuring their city council to declare a climate emergency. 7,000 miles away, in Delhi, student strikers braved the ever-present air pollution, often the worst in the world, to shout through white medical masks, "You sold our future just for profit." In interviews, some spoke of the devastating floods in Kerala that killed more than 400 people in 2018. Australia's coal-addled resource minister declared that the best thing you'll learn about going to a protest is how to join the dole queue. Undeterred, 150,000 young people poured into plazas in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, and other cities. This generation of Australians has decided it simply cannot pretend that everything is normal. Not when, at the start of 2019, the South Australian city of Port Augusta had reached an oven-worthy 121 degrees Fahrenheit, 49.5 degrees centigrade. Not when half the Great Barrier Reef, the world's largest natural structure made up of living creatures, had turned into a rotting underwater mass grave. Not when, in the weeks leading up to the strike itself, they had seen bushfires combine into a massive blaze in the state of Victoria, forcing thousands to flee their homes, while in Tasmania, wildfires destroyed old-growth rainforests that are unlike any ecosystem in the world. Not when, in January 2019, a combination of extreme temperature swings and poor water management led the entire country to wake up to apocalyptic images of the Darling River clogged with the floating carcasses of 1 million dead fish. "You have failed us all so terribly," said 15-year-old strike organizer Nosrat Foreha, addressing the political class as a whole. "We deserve better. Young people can't even vote, but will have to live with the consequences of your inaction." There was no student strike in Mozambique. On March 15th, the day of the global walkouts, the whole country was bracing for the impact of Cyclone Idai, one of the worst storms in African history, which drove people to take refuge at the tops of trees as the waters rose and would eventually kill more than 1,000 people. And then, just 6 weeks later, while it was still clearing the rubble, Mozambique would be hit by Cyclone Kenneth, yet another record-breaking storm. Wherever in the world they live, this generation has something in common. They are the first for whom climate disruption on a planetary scale is not a distant threat, but a lived reality. And not in a few unlucky hotspots, but on every single continent, with pretty much everything unraveling significantly faster than most scientific models had predicted. Oceans are warming 40% faster than the United Nations predicted just 5 years ago. And a sweeping study on the state of the Arctic, published in April 2019 in Environmental Research Letters, led by renowned